Jingle, jingle, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for what is going to be, on this Christmas Eve, nothing short of another jam-packed daily market update, and we've always got a lot to get into. We're going to start the video off by looking at what to expect next year, and how historically we're on a very clear trajectory, or certainly when you look historically, the trajectory that we're on is one that mirrors what historically has been the case. We'll talk a little bit about Bitcoin dominance in regards to that, and how actually the start of Bitcoin dominance rolling is, also a confirming sign of what to come. Not to mention all the technical analysis that we've done on Bitcoin in the broader space, which all, they all align, and that's what we call confluence. And really, as a technical analyst, what we're looking for is an edge to be right on the future. And we think we've got that from a number of different perspectives, from a number of different charts, and we'll ultimately share a little bit of that with you guys to start the video off, really just confirming what we think is to come in 2025. Then we're going to look at some news from the IRS. Staking rewards are now a taxable event. Bad news, but also good news in the sense that, okay, well, they know what's coming for this industry if they're likely wanting to tax it. And actually, now that there's clarity on that, that means there's clarity in regards to the products that may form around it, like ETFs, etc., etc. I do think we'll see like staking ETFs and things like this, yielding crypto ETFs and things like that. We've also got news in regards to Bitcoin reserves proposed to slash the US debt, which of course is a big issue with. I think with a combination of that and stablecoins, actually, what we're seeing is a jump to the new system, and crypto is it. And we've always believed that, and we're getting more and more confirmation of that. We'll also look at how the United Arab Emirates is now holding $40 billion worth of Bitcoin. CZ said this, and they're essentially discrediting him. But I think CZ is somebody that definitely is in the know. He's one of my favorite people in the crypto space. I think what the US government did to him was horrific. They completely took over his company and put him in jail for 4 months and charged him $4 billion. I mean, that was one of the most biggest trolls I think I've ever seen in my life. You've got to pay a little bit to these guys. You've got to pay the piper, as it were. And then we'll talk about some real USD news. But before we get into all that, I want to just wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I know not everybody celebrates Christmas, and that's absolutely fine. But I want to wish people a little bit of downtime, a Merry Christmas to those who celebrate it, and that people sort of take a few days just to enjoy life, a little bit of downtime, because we've got an epic 2025 ahead of us. And I'm so glad we're now at 116,000 subscribers, and we're only going to, this year, you will see Allincrypto move towards the top crypto channel in the whole of, we already are for certain topics, YouTube, and actually to be on that journey with each and every one of you. And it's times like this where it's worth reflecting, is nothing short of an honor. I'm very proud of it, and I can't wait to be on that journey to changing lives with you guys through the cryptocurrency space next year. So a massive thank you to each and every one of you. A Merry Christmas, happy downtime for those of you that don't celebrate it. And we won't be doing a daily tomorrow. We're going to take the whole day off. We've got to every once in a while, guys, but we'll be back on Boxing Day. You can count on that. So enough of the soppy nonsense. Let's talk about what's ahead of us. And I just want to start with the BLX, which is the Brave New Liquid Coin Index. It's really the longest chart that we have for Bitcoin. We've got the halvings running horizontally, or vertically, sorry. I mean, being dyslexic means you jumble many things up. I think that's quite a common thing. The halving running vertically down the chart, and you can see this is really portraying the 4-year cycle. Now, I did an interview with CleanSpark, the second largest Bitcoin miner in the world, yesterday. Surprised how many people didn't sort of take note of that. I think they're an awesome company. But he spoke about how you're going to see this diminishing over time, and I very much agree. But the reason I'm showing this is because the sort of bar pattern that we put from here to here, which was the last bull market, or we could have taken the one from here to here, or we could have taken the one from here to here, is very much being followed. Even in regards to the manner that we pulled back recently. Okay, a little bit more drawn out. But you are going to see continuation for this market, I believe, in 2025. And just like this sort of historical trajectory that Bitcoin has been following, it is essentially taking place once again. The 4-year cycle really is being followed. Also, when we put the time period from the halving to Bitcoin dominance rolling, we are exactly there today, ladies and gentlemen, and very much rinse and repeating in the majority of the bull market. Certainly for the altcoin sector happens when Bitcoin dominance rolls. Bitcoin dominance rolling is actually a bullish thing for the whole space, because it means Bitcoin's still going up, because if it wasn't, the altcoin sector wouldn't be. And then I think when you sort of look at all this and you then compound what it is we're looking at from a technical perspective on Bitcoin, that gives us every reason to expect Bitcoin to go higher. Bitcoin miners look great. We've got a number of technical patterns all giving us confidence of the direction Bitcoin is heading in. The total cryptocurrency market caps all have higher trajectories ahead of them technically. And you can see, look at where this bounced for total 2. This is a perfect break and retest on volume, what I really like to see. And then obviously the ETPs and everything else. So the reality of next year, in my opinion, or what I think is very probable, is that we have a sensational 2025 ahead of us. And actually on the macro, I think there's a lot of things that are going to support that. There's things to worry about with the bond market, I think, but I actually think that could be the very thing that puts the wind underneath market sales. You know, I think this is going to be one of the most spectacular 2025s that we've ever seen. Certainly for the cryptocurrencies, spectacular 25. We've only probably ever lived to 2025. But one of the most spectacular years crypto's ever seen. Certainly, or the markets broadly, but certainly crypto, as we know everything that's coming for it in the year ahead. You're really going to see the adoption of this market next year, guys. But these are the ETPs, totals, Bitcoin miners, you know, sort of big cycles that it follows, et cetera, all really confirm what's going to be a sensational year in the next one. And very quickly on the topic of Bitcoin dominance, we saw more in inflows for Ethereum yesterday than we saw for Bitcoin. In fact, Bitcoin saw outflows, Ethereum saw inflows, and there's this kind of progression of money that comes into the space that we're going to see continuation of. So let's talk about some news. Bad, good news. I think the reality was they're always going to tax staking. And that's bad news, I think, because taxation is theft without representation. I truly believe that. It's very interesting how we think about force and how we sort of really frown upon it in terms of taking from somebody else. Yet the government is the biggest perpetrator of that, and ultimately we don't have an issue with it because of the way that we've been sort of conditioned as human beings. You know, we're a collective of experiences. I think there's something more to us than that, but we never see the issues of it when it comes to the government. You've got to pay your taxes, guys, because they don't mess around with it. The Internal Revenue Service, IRS, has recently confirmed that cryptocurrency staking rewards are considered taxable income upon receipt, as per Revenue Ruling 2023-14. This ruling has sparked controversy and legal challenges, most notably from crypto investor Joshua Jarrett, who has initiated a lawsuit against this taxation policy. The debate centers around whether these rewards should be taxable immediately or at a later point when the staked assets are sold or converted into fiat currencies. Yeah. So that there are challenges with this because ultimately, okay, let's say you get, for example, some platforms have lockup periods. What if you get the reward and it's a certain value and then 30 days later it's significantly less? So there are nuances that need to be put to this, but actually I think the fact that these guys are looking to tax this means they're looking to enable it and they're looking to generate revenue from it. And I think we're really going to see that come in the year ahead. We're going to see multiple ETFs. I know HBAR is a very likely one. Obviously Litecoin from Eric Balchunas and then XRP Sol. There'll be more. There'll be baskets. Bitwise's ETP, which we looked at the start, also filing for an ETF. So this is interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Bitcoin Reserve proposed to slash US debt. I think they can use stablecoins to do some pretty interesting things with debt, by the way. VanEck has projected that the United States could significantly reduce its national debt by adopting Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. They're going to do that anyway. The firm suggests that if Bitcoin appreciates at a 25% compound annual growth rate, it could reduce or reach a value of, interesting, 42.3 million per Bitcoin by 2049. Certainly if the fiat system is done, but you know, that'd be sort of hyper Venezuelan inflation there. Potentially slashing the national debt by approximately 35 to 36% by 2050. This forecast parts of a broader discussion around using cryptocurrencies to address fiscal changes. There's a lot wrong with this. First of all, Bitcoin's got to get to 42 million. It's got to see that annual growth of 25%, and debt would have to stay stagnant for it to wipe out 35 5 to 60%, which is very unlikely. I would say debt will likely outgrow many things. So I think this is actually a bad take from VanEck, but an interesting concept all the same. And I think a $53 or $52 million Bitcoin price, yeah, you don't even see Michael Saylor, who's definitely, or Max Kaiser, who are some of the most sort of eccentric people coming out and calling for that just yet. But an interesting concept all the same. You know, Bitcoin appreciates more than your debt. You can start using it to actually settle some of that debt and reduce the balance sheet. And I think that's a really interesting concept. Certainly if I was a government, I'd be looking to do that. As people that can certainly move the markets, very inside tradery, I'd be looking to essentially hold assets that will appreciate more than the value of the debt that I have, so that I can then pay the debt off with those assets as the ultimate controller of the whole system. I mean, you could literally game it, but they don't want that. They don't want to reduce the debt. Why would they do that? It gives them control. It gives certain people control. Anyway, UAE's $40 billion Bitcoin holdings, fact or fiction. A recent social media post claims that the United Arab Emirates holds $40 billion in Bitcoin, sparking significant discussion in the cryptocurrency community. However, these claims lack official confirmation from the UAE. The origin of this figure appears from unverified sources, leading to debate about the authenticity of such assertions. While there's no solid evidence supporting these claims, they reflect the growing interest and speculative nature surrounding national cryptocurrency reserves. So CZ tweeted this, and there's sort of a disclaimer that actually, you know, the sort of state themselves didn't actually come out and announce this, but I think it's, you know, potentially quite likely. I've got a lot of people that are in crypto. You watch many of them that I speak to that are actually in sort of Dubai and those kind of nations because, well, predominantly Dubai because of the sort of tax situation we're considering ourselves. Independent reserves lists Ripple's real USD, also the bearable bull, or not the bearable bull. I keep getting those guys mixed up. I'm not even really familiar with the bearable bull. Bearable guy 123. He just released another cryptic picture, which I'm sure you're all sort of trying to decipher. I think there's something to do with the South Korean won, which is going to collapse, in my opinion, against the US dollar. But Independent Reserves has become the first crypto exchange in Singapore to list Ripple's USD-backed stablecoin. We're going to see, I believe, the rise of stablecoins in 2025. It's on the forefront of many people's minds, and it's ultimately going to do unbelievable things, certainly for the dollar and the United States more broadly, and the world more broadly. We've got an amazing years ahead of us, guys. Very interesting news coming out today. We won't be here tomorrow. Wishing you all a Merry Christmas on the back end of that. I'm hoping you all have a nice, couple of days of downtime. We've got an epic year ahead of us, guys. Stay focused. Enjoy your short rest. We'll be back on Boxing Day with more content. See you then.